Welcome to Travel Stories with your hosts, Tom Kim and Trevor Mountcastle. This episode, we go around the world with John Ryan. John, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. It's such a privilege to be on here, and so glad to join you both.
Yes, welcome.
So, John, absolutely welcome. John, I hate to say it, but I am concerned that our listeners might not know too much about you because I know you do a lot in the background. You're involved in the FTUs and a handful of other communities, but you seem to be like the sort of the guy that makes things happen in the background. So could you please share with our listeners a little bit about yourself?
Sure. So I've done a little bit of everything over the past few years. I started out with Miles to Memories in 2021. I moved over from there to Bougie Miles, which is a site by Bethany Walsh, she's amazing. If you don't know her blog site is bougiemiles.com. And I moved there in 2023. And then I kind of worked from her for about a year during high school. Actually, my high school had a program where I was able to be an intern, so to speak, for that whole year. And then the next year after, I worked for FTU and got involved with that. And I've been with that ever since, starting in 2024. So it's been 2.5 years, and I've enjoyed every day of it. So
that's awesome. And I remember you working for Bethany, and as you say that, I feel so horrible. We have not had Bethany on. So if Bethany, if you're a listener, because I know that I trade messages with her from time to time, and we share an affinity for fine champagnes.
Yeah, the finer things in life.
Yeah, and fellow New Yorkers as well. So we'll have to have her on if Bethany, if you're listening, reach out. Otherwise, I'll probably get around to pinging you at some point. So you've done work with Tommy Danielson over at FTU, I assume too. You mentioned.
I've been working with him for 2.5 years now. It's been great. We've done stuff with FTU. We've had 2 in-person conferences, one this past May and then one the year prior, both in Dallas. And then we look forward to hopefully growing that and having some more conferences in the near future. So it's been great. So
I have to say I have a great respect for Tommy. The FTU concept is the way that we sort of got into it. I don't want to say we. That's where Tom and I met, right? And we've and each of us have met so many other friends, and so the fact that Tommy will not let that die and is finding different innovative ways. Just before the pandemic, he was really focused on trying to tie it into the Travel and Adventure show. And so one of my last forays with FTU was actually at the Travel and Adventure show at the Washington, D.C. Convention Center. And so like FTU had some sidebar stuff in like one of the conference rooms or 2 of the conference rooms in that major big conference center. But then they also had a show down on the Travel and Adventure show. And that was perhaps one of the greatest privileges that I've had in the Miles and Points community, other than this podcast. But to be able to talk to probably 250, Tom, you were there. There were a lot of people that were gathering around that stage.
It was well attended.
It was probably one of my more nervous presentations because of how many people there were. But
it was one of the larger crowds that I've definitely seen you ever speak at. So yes, I can understand why.
Yeah, but again, I have a deep respect for Tommy and what he's doing to try to keep that venue and that forum alive, because I think it is good for the community, and it was a lot of fun when I used to be on that circuit. So glad that you're a part of it, and glad that you're keeping that venue alive, because again, a lot of us you get experienced, and you never forget where you met some of those first friends and stuff. And I think that's awesome. So speaking of, meeting first friends and such, the first time that you and I actually met in person, like we've traded messages from time to time over I think Messenger and Twitter and everything else. But, you were in my neck of the woods for an event, a few weeks ago. Can you tell us a little bit about it?
Absolutely. So I actually flew in probably 2 days before on a Frontier Red Eye. So that was fun, to IAD with the Go Wild Pass. So that was not the most pleasant experience. But I went with my great, amazing friend, Randy Clinton, who he's not affiliated with anybody. He just enjoys the whole art of the game. And he was able to organize, along with a few other people, something called Flights and Bites, where we started out by having breakfast in DC, as well as a suite party the night prior at the Park Hyatt. And that was at Blue Duck Tavern, which is a Michelin star restaurant. So that was a fun way to have dinner. And then we had breakfast there that next morning, lunch in Chicago at Lou Malnati's right by O'Hare, and then dinner in Las Vegas at whatever venue you decided. But it was a super fun day. We not the whole first class cabin, but I would say a good probably 50-60% of it was either upgrades or just people from Flights and Bites that had bought seats. So it was a really fun experience and fun flight.
Yeah, so I didn't get the chance to follow you guys on the actual flights, but I definitely enjoyed the conversation and everything because with that messenger group, it was definitely what do they call it, the peanut gallery sort of type experience with that conversation. But yeah, the night before the Randy and we do hope to have Randy on fairly soon as well. But Randy getting the presidential suite was always, or was very cool, I should say. Having been to the presidential suite probably 3 or 4 times now, at the Park Hyatt, it's almost like a comfortable space for me now. And Tom, you probably agree with that. You've probably been in a couple of times, but it's also nice to see that they've done some work on that and they've kind of refurbished it. But really just pulling together, how many people did you have on that trip?
So it kind of depended because it was like, say, you, for example, you were there for the DC portion, but then somebody was there for the Chicago and whatnot. But I want to say somewhere around 50 to 60 people, which is amazing turnout.
It's a pretty big group.
Yeah, 100%.
And that's all just everybody who wanted to be a part of it, right? That's not you had to buy not you had to buy a Flights and Bites ticket. You just had to want to be a part of it and then do all your own logistics and show up. And that's special.
Yeah.
It is special. Exactly. That's the word for it. The fact that you've got, 50 to 60 people that want to take a weekend and catch up even for a part of the weekend or, fly across the country. And it just seems so cool. It really does.
I don't know. I think some of us fly for dinner quite often. or a meal just to catch a meal, sometimes we cross an ocean.
Not gonna deny that. Not gonna deny that. But to get 50 to 60 people together to do that is pretty special.
I guess 3 or 4 people, not such a big deal. 50 people, yeah, it's a little bit order of magnitude bigger, huh?
Logistics and everything, yeah. Absolute kudos to you and Randy, and I know some other folks. I think Jen was involved in trying to pull together a lot of different logistics. Again, a really cool event, and for any of our listeners that are in the community that want to get involved in that sort of thing, one might hope that there might be kind of an encore next year. I think there've been, across different organizers, I think there's been like three different food dues at this point that have, started either in DC or somewhere else in the East Coast and just moved their way west.
Yeah, I know Kevin Song did one last year, and I wish I would have been able to have attended, but I think I was abroad somewhere. But hopefully one of those returns again next year. So,
TK, did you do that one last year, or was it?
Yeah,
2 years ago?
we were. Weren't we both at it? We were at least at the beginning, and then I don't know if was that last year? Sometimes these things kind of like merge together, but
they do kind of blur. I know I was at the beginning because it was that really cool place in Noma, DC. That had like the fake grass on the roof. And it was like a cool food hall either last year or the year before. And then, and then of course there was a sweet party afterwards. Mm-hmm. But I thought I could have swore that you did one of those because I thought you had gone, the one that went to Dallas and then Denver, I think.
Yeah, definitely the one that that exactly right. We went to Dallas and then Denver. I don't know if there was another one after that or if, again, sometimes these things kind of blur together. I got to go look back at my phone, try to remember. I'm a little sad I didn't make this one, but I also was otherwise occupied. I think I might have been either on a cruise or on a plane at the time you guys were doing this. So I'm a little bit jealous that I missed it.
The challenges of traveling the way we travel, right?
First world problems.
You're inevitably going to miss something.
You're going to miss something.
Exactly. Yeah.
So let's pull that thread a little bit more, right? So John, you get to travel a lot. I mean, we all get to travel a lot, in all fairness, but you've gone to some really interesting places, and I dare say some places that Tom and I either haven't been or haven't been in a long time. And so I was wondering if we could pivot a little bit to some of your Asia travels. I think you had mentioned that, and I don't know how recent this trip was, because I try to keep track of you. But you said that you had been to China and Mongolia. I've never been to Mongolia. It's been on the list. What is that? Ulan Batar, right?
Yes. Yeah. That's the capital. Yep.
And so did you go to Ulan Batar or did you go elsewhere?
Did you fly on the United flight?
I did not. I did see it depart, but I
they
did not
have
take
that,
it, unfortunately.
that flight.
Yeah, it's a little pricey. It's like 500 one way.
Oh, wow.
And that's pricey. On a 737.
Yeah, on a narrow body.
Oh, man. Yeah, that's a little bit hard, yeah.
Yeah. So the reason that I did this trip was for Tommy. Tommy runs like FTU, and then he also runs the kind of the bigger the business now is something called the Loyalty Summit, which is a B2B business to business conference for loyalty programs, whether it be like rental cars, airlines, hotels, all that stuff, and then also retailers. That conference was in London at the beginning of June. So this trip was just a little under 2 months ago now. And we started out, I was with a college friend of mine at Purdue. I was starting in China, and we went to a number of different Asian countries as well. But I was ending in China. I needed to be out by a certain day due to the whole 240-hour transit visa.
Travel hacker issues.
Yeah, exactly. I flew into Mongolia because just due to the whole Middle East situation, I just figured this would be a safe option that was safe for me just as a solo traveler to meet my dad in Europe and then also do Tommy's conference, and it wouldn't involve any flight cancellations or anything like that. So I went to Ulan Batar starting in Beijing, and on the takeoff from Beijing, I got to see an Air Koryo. I don't even know what plane they fly, but it was coming in from Pyongyang. I just saw this plane that looked kind of weird, and I was like, huh? And I'm like, is that what I think it is? And I pull it up, and sure enough, it is
like a Russian
Koryo.
jet, like an
Antonov
or
Tupolev or an Antonov.
No, I think Antonov's only like cargo planes, right?
Oh, that could be, yeah.
Tupolev or Sukhoi made passengers.
Sukhoi had some too,
but it wasn't a Sukhoi, I don't think.
Yeah, looks like it's Tupolev TU-204.
Oh, that makes sense. Yeah, the TU. Yeah, they have a bunch of TU Tupolevs. That's awesome. That must have been an incredible experience. You didn't even have to endure the two pieces of the 2 pieces of bread and the single tomato for the vegetarian meal on board.
True. that too. That's good. I avoided that. There
was some joke. I can't remember. Somebody did like one of those like sponsored tours, and they specifically said, I got a vegetarian meal and all they give me was a tomato. I'll have to see if I can find that. That's like probably a really deep, esoteric trip report story.
I think in a lot of places, especially in China, I think the idea of a vegetarian person is kind of a foreign concept. So.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So you get to fly out of Beijing. You see Air Koryo flying to Pyongyang, which is incredible.
Yeah. But yeah, so I was flying from, and this was on a 737 on MIAT. So there's 2 other airlines that fly the route, Air China, and then this other weird airline, or I don't know, let me look up the name of it.
MIAT is another one of those airlines that I haven't even thought about actually trying to fly, but it's an interesting airline to have on your, what is it on your
Flighty?
list of
yeah. Which one is this?
MIAT, MIAT. Mongolia's flag carrier.
So what's kind of crazy about this is that so I go to Purdue for college and I'm there for aviation management. So there's somebody I know who is from Mongolia and his dad is the COO of the airline. Like just crazy small world. Like I don't know how this happens. No business class upgrade, by the way, but just still very cool that happened. But yeah. Okay. So it looks like it's Who Knew Air. I've never.
Who knew?
Yeah, yeah, very true. And it's an E195 E2. So,
oh, cool. So, slight tangent, just because I think it's so cool to know that you're getting an airline management. You said airline management, BA or MBA?
BA. Yep.
So, my MBA is actually in aviation from Embry-Riddle. And I was almost on the path down. I think I was looking more toward airport versus airline. but ended up taking a different path. But
I could have had a buddy pass.
I know.
Alas.
Missed opportunities.
Yeah.
But it's cool to know that Purdue has such a program, and so I guess I'm a little bit more a fan of the Boilermakers, despite the ages old oaken bucket rivalry with Notre Dame.
Unfortunately,
Did I get the rivalry right or no?
Yeah, Notre Dame. Yeah, that and IU depends on the season and teams and how they're playing. So,
okay, tangent over. So sometimes I go a little bit too deep on some of these things, and Tom is just like he's just totally lost it.
Let's reel it back, okay? Come on,
reel it back.
Reel it back.
Okay. So did you get time in Beijing, or where did you actually get time on the ground to explore?
So maybe is it good to go in like in order of how the trip began and then kind of work our way?
Yeah. Let's do that.
Okay, cool. So to start out, I flew into Hong Kong. It was $220 on Air Canada from Vegas to Hong Kong. I don't know how
that
you
is a very
beat that.
cheap flight.
That's
crazy.
Yeah. So economy
wait, with miles and points, or literally just wow?
Gosh, yeah. So and that was pre-Iran. So I think it's now like 380, which again isn't terrible, but just it's gone up a little bit as a result. So
that's incredible. That's awesome.
But yeah, so I started out by doing that, and then I flew to Hong Kong. Never been there before, so I spent the day there, and it was all that I expected. I couldn't believe, like, just taking the bus in from the city. I was like, holy crap! Like, this city it's probably the prettiest city I've ever seen in person. Just like the blend of all these tall buildings combined with water. It's a pretty amazing combination there. And then, I got to spend the day there, and then I flew Emirates Business from Hong Kong to Bangkok on the Fifth Freedom flight. Have both of you taken that before? I assume the answer is yes, maybe.
Not the Fifth. I don't think I've flown Emirates on that Fifth Freedom. Have you?
Oh,
I haven't flown that Fifth Freedom, but we've both flown Emirates Business on the A380.
Oh, okay.
I think I flew Thai on that route. It's a 2.5 hour route, right?
I've definitely flown that route several times, and I think in Thai first class is probably the last time I can think of flying it. But
yep, I remember this great Chinese donut with a nice custard that they had to dip. But that's a fun route, right? So that's one of the Fifth Freedom routes that they get a lot.
Multiple airlines fly.
Yeah.
Sure. So it was $130 for my economy ticket, $130 in like 130 US, which is not a bad price. And then it was another $280 to upgrade to business, but it was business light.
So what is business light?
It's no seat selection until check-in, and then I think less like frequent flyer miles, whatever the lower fare bucket, and then also the no lounge access. So kind of significant things, but if you have priority pass, then yeah, it's fine.
And having been to that lounge, you're not missing much. The thing about Hong Kong is unless you're going to like, what is it, the pier, or is it the pier or the bridge?
The wing.
And the wing. Yeah. The wing a little less, but the pier I think is lower, right? That's like the lower underground one.
Yeah, it's under, it's one level below, the main level.
Yeah, that feels like a really nice, awesome lounge because it's kind of a little bit more exclusive. Most of the other lounges, like the United Lounge, the Centurion Lounge, and the Emirates Lounge, they're all like a level above, and they don't really have ceilings. So like the ceiling of the airport is sort of like the ceiling of the lounge, and so it's a little bit louder, and you literally just feel like you're kind of in a lounge with a bunch of walls. And yeah, don't get me wrong, there's MIAT Shandong and other nice things like that. But I mean, I'll just say, I don't think you missed out on a ton for what you got for the cost of that ticket. I mean, you got a screaming deal, man.
That's the thing. Like, I was just thinking, I'm like, one, the A380 upper deck is, it's becoming harder and harder to find. And then second of all, it's Emirates Business. So I figured I kind of had to experience it at least once in my life. So. And
you got the bar, you got you've got the best seat on Emirates that they have for business class. So, I mean, you got the best of, if you're going to fly business, you got the best of what Emirates can offer.
The only thing, so we got kind of screwed over with the delay situation. So our flight ended up being delayed by 5 hours because the plane got struck by lightning upon landing in Hong Kong, which is not Emirates' fault. But I will say the communication was not the best, which is kind of to be expected from a Middle Eastern airline. I hate to say this, but they're not really known
and
for
it's
that
an
sort of thing.
outstation, so
That too. So I asked the gate agent
Yeah.
after 3.5 hours. I was like, "Hey, is it okay if I just step away for a few minutes just to go get some food?" And he's like, "Oh, it's going to be a while. You can leave and come back soon or whatever." So I'm like, "Okay." So I go and get food. I come back and they're boarding. I'm like, "Okay, great." I mean, not the end of the world, but I was just so worried that like, what if I miss my flight or something? I mean, that would have been really terrible. But I guess it all worked out. So.
Oh yeah, especially with that kind of a delay. I mean, that'd just be insult to injury.
Yeah. So, the other issue though that I guess maybe kind of contributed to me not really having a full experience on board was that I had flown in from the US and gotten in around 4 a.m. and then that flight left at 9 p.m. So I was basically up sightseeing all day and then I just got off a long haul economy flight.
You must have been really tired.
Yeah. So I was pretty exhausted on that flight. So
I was about to say, to be young again, to be able to do that.
Yeah. So, I ended up not getting to my hotel in Bangkok until probably 4 a.m. or something. So that was a fun day.
At least you didn't have any traffic.
No, very true. And it was an $8 grab to the hotel. So it all worked out.
$8 grab. So you stayed over by the airport then?
Yeah. It wasn't a nice hotel. It was just some ibis out in, I don't know, some part of Bangkok. Yeah. 60 a night. So I can't complain, but it did the job. So
nice. Yeah, I was surprised. I think there's now a Hyatt Regency right by Bangkok Savannah-Wapu Airport. I think I saw when I was flying out of there recently.
Oh, that's the new Novotel.
Okay, then I feel strangely less excited about that new Hyatt Regency now.
Oops.
I remember the old Novotel. And then there was a Best Western nearby too, if I recall.
There's also not too far from Bangkok Airport, or Suvarnabhumi, I should say, there's a 747 cafe. Have either of you been there before?
No, but I think Matthew or Lucky did a great blog post maybe 5-10 years ago. No, it had to have been during the pandemic because I feel like there was something. That's not the one with the McDonald's, is it?
No, you're getting confused. McDonald's is in Auckland in New Zealand. So
I'm probably getting confused, but there's two different really cool experiences related to it. Gosh, I'm going to have to do a lot of producing to get all these links for this episode. We're only about a half hour, not even in.
Wow.
So did you get to that 747 cafe or restaurant?
I didn't, unfortunately. So the one thing you'll have to know about this trip is that my friend and I, we kind of just prioritized doing as much as we possibly could, even if it meant not really getting to get the full experience of soaking in each of these cities. But in the end, we did get to see more cities. So there's kind of
it's okay. They're not going anywhere.
Yeah. True.
Yeah.
I mean, you got time.
Yeah.
If there's one thing we say on this podcast, this is never the approach that we take is that this is never going to be your last visit to a trip, to a city, right?
Unfortunately, sometimes unfortunately.
There are stories there. There, but we're gonna avoid that one tangent there. Okay. But the reality is I think you have a better time if you accept the fact that that this isn't your one and done. You're gonna either like the city or you're not, and if you like the city, you're gonna get back there.
I think it's something you learn, after you travel a lot. Because I think when people start out traveling, or when people travel a little bit less frequently, they are trying to squeeze it all in, right? They're like, I got to do everything because I'm not going to be back here anytime soon, and it ruins the experience a little bit because sometimes you're rushing. You never slow down and actually take in the place, and you're missing kind of the point of even being there. So
it's so true. It is so true.
Yeah, if you're just on trains and planes all day, then okay, great.
But we're also big fans of the journey as much as the destination, so you're not going to get much complaints from us.
True.
This is true as well. Yeah. This is very true.
So there's that balance,
So you got as much out of Bangkok as you could, or did you fly out the next day after the 4 a.m. Arrival?
So I flew in at 4 a.m. and then I left again 7 a.m. the next day. So I had 28 hours there. But I've been to Bangkok before for about a week. So and that was 4 years ago. So.
Oh, great.
So it was a second time.
Any high points, or had your friend been there? Did you do the palace? Did you grab a massage? Any other random things?
I did. So we went to the, now I just need to find the name of it. What is it?
What Arun?
Yeah, I think it was that. Yeah, we went there and then we went to kind of the Central World Mall area since my friend really didn't go to many malls. And I was like, you got to go to a mall when we're in Southeast Asia. That's kind of a key.
It's kind of an imperative. You can't
Central
not
World.
go to the mall.
Yeah.
So
Central World was the exact one to do. I mean, having been to a handful of others in that general area, I think the Central World's probably I hate to say it this way. I'll say it's the cleanest, and it felt like it was like one of the more upper, best balances. I mean, you go a little bit further one way, and you get like the Gucci and the Prada and the Longchamp, and you go a little bit the other way, and then you've got like the very tight in stores, a little bit of the kind of
they got to cater for everybody,
handicrafts.
right?
Yeah, it's definitely an interesting dynamic. I mean, you can literally walk a mile or maybe 2 miles and you get like, you literally feel like you've gone from like, I don't know, Fifth Avenue to, I don't know, Southeast DC.
So John, what was your next stop after Bangkok?
So then we flew Scoot. I flew Scoot Plus. My friend flew like regular Scoot just because with the checked bag, it ended up being like $10 more. So I was like, with the meal, and the meal I will say was phenomenal. I was so impressed by it. So, that was great.
Scoot being what, discount Singapore, right?
Correct. Yeah. So we flew that from Bangkok Suvarnabhumi to Changi. And then we spent 2 days in Singapore, and that was our first time for the both of us. So.
Oh, nice. Hawker markets, I'm assuming.
Yes, plenty of those.
Night zoo?
I'm afraid to say I didn't hit that, unfortunately. I didn't visit there.
Okay.
Marina Bay Sands and that area, didn't make it over there?
Oh, I'm sorry. We did. Yeah, we went to the observation deck, actually. We went to Gardens by the Bay, all that stuff. Yeah, so that was great.
Yeah, Night Zoo is a completely different area. But one of the things that I don't know why, but like in my experience, when we first went there, like Night Zoo was like one of the things that popped up on my radar. And so like I've probably been there 3 times now, 2 or 3 times. And it's a cool experience, and they've built it out even more. Like it's kind of more cool.
We've been there 2 times.
My mind. Have we been there 2 times?
Yeah. Together, we've been there twice.
Okay, I've been there a lot more times than I thought then. Yeah.
I think you've been there more.
Yeah, I think so.
I think we've been there 3 times. I've been there 3 times with you.
It's to Singapore or to the Night Zoo?
Yeah. No, to Singapore. I'm realizing. Because we once flew together. Then we had a bachelor party. And then one time I met you at the lounge at the Hyatt.
Yeah, completely randomly. Where I take my father on his 70th birthday trip around the world. And we had a few days in Singapore before we headed down to Australia. And this guy's in Bali during his mini retirement. And I just happened to mention, I text him, I'm like, hey, we're in Singapore. What are your plans or something to that effect? Because like I don't know if you said that you were on your way to Singapore or if I just saw you in Bali and just messaged you, but like literally the next night you're like catching up with us in the lounge, and forever my father now thinks that anywhere I go in the world, I just run into people.
Yeah,
it's not that far from the truth though. It really isn't.
Yeah. No.
Well, a small, brief little like I'll say teaser for an upcoming episode. So I take my nephew, my brother, and my father on a trip just recently, and we're in Italy, and we run into yet another friend, and we catch up with them for dinner for a few nights. So like literally every trip that I've taken, I think my father or my brother on, every time we run into at least one friend someplace overseas that they just completely are surprised about.
I ran into that friend of yours the year before.
Last year, right?
No surprise there.
So, no, on a cruise, completely unprompted. Yes. So that friend tends to like show up in places, I guess, that we tend to visit, I guess.
So Singapore, you liked it?
Yeah, and
loved
it's just very cool. Yeah, I feel like, well, it's hard to say. So I feel like I loved it a lot. It's so cool to me, and I'm not trying to be political here, but it's just so cool, like how there's like 3 main like ethnic groups of people, and they're just so well like integrated. It's such a safe country. Like it's just so cool how that country works and is integrated.
It's definitely a
in
different
over
system.
50 years. What,
Yeah.
50,
Yeah, over
almost
50
60 years now, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which was better, Hong Kong or Singapore?
I think I'm going to say Hong Kong. Hong Kong just felt more authentic. That's the one thing that I will say about Singapore is it's a little more sterile feeling. Not that that's a criticism, but
Yes.
I don't know.
It's a fair
I agree.
observation, I think. Yeah, I think it's a very
it's a fair
astute
observation.
observation.
Yes.
Okay,
But
now I gotta
very cool.
ask, how much time did you have in Kenji? And what did you think of the airport?
Oh, you mean Changi?
Oh, so unfortunately, Changi, you mean? Is that?
Yeah, Kenji, Changi. Yeah, I probably got it
okay.
wrong, but yeah, Singapore airport.
So to kind of move forward here, so we flew out 2 days later, and rather than fly out of Changi for our next flight, we actually flew out of the other Singapore airport, which is called Seletar. And there's like 7 flights a day to Kuala Lumpur's other airport, which is called, I want to say, let me find the name of it here. It's called Sultan Abdul Aziz Shah Airport. It's close to the city.
What an interesting one.
So
I wouldn't even have thought to go to a secondary airport for either of these. Is there some reason why you decided to go to the second airport? Just out of novelty, or was there a reason to try that route?
So my friend and I he's like, although I'm an aviation nerd, I think I am, he's like a whole other level of one. And so he discovered that on that route, there's an airline called Firefly, which is a subsidiary of Malaysia Airlines. Yeah, so they operate ATR 72s on that flight. So we're like, all right, we've never gotten to fly one before. Now's a pretty good time to do so.
Okay.
So that was that's
cool
the reason.
So this is your first ATR flight. Interesting.
Yeah, and I think I'll be doing one next summer as well on Helsinki to Tallinn, but that's for another day. So.
Oh, and two great cities.
Yeah, I can't wait. That'll be fun.
Yeah, you'll enjoy that. Well, I have to give you accolades, John. I remember as I look at the name Seletar Airport, I feel like I've seen it in the past, but my gosh, you had me hard pressed to think that to remember that there was actually a secondary Singapore airport. So I mean, you want to talk about esoteric trivia? I think you've won the day, my friend.
I was today years old when I found out about the second airport.
Well, I didn't know there was a secondary airport in Kuala Lumpur either.
Yeah, so that one's for domestic in Kuala Lumpur, but then Singapore being Singapore, there's no domestic flights, obviously. But they have Delta maintenance actually. Yeah. They have Delta maintenance, and they send their A350s there, I believe. And then there's just a few other airlines. Let me see if I can
wait.
check on
So
my phone.
Delta sends their A350s to Seletar or to the
Seletar.
So that actually makes a lot of sense. So many, many years ago, I want to say it was like New Year's 2012 to 2013 or 2011 to 2012. I did my wife and I celebrated New Year's in Singapore, and we were in the lounge chatting with at the time it was a 767 mechanic. And he was explaining how he was like in Singapore for an extended period of time doing some sort of maintenance work. And so when you say that they have a tech ops type place over at Seletar, that suddenly makes a whole lot more sense of why a random Delta mechanic is spending extended periods of time in Singapore.
That's it, probably. Yeah. So weird circular connection, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. No, that's really cool.
So how long was your layover in Malaysia? Was that a longer stay or was it just a quick trip?
Unfortunately, so we spent about, I think, a day like on the dot. So we flew into that small airport, and then we took a grab over to the Grand Hyatt, which is the Grand Hyatt. I don't know if you've stayed there, but it does not disappoint. They upgraded us to a Grand Suite. They gave us 6 p.m. late checkout as globalists. It's the whole thing. So,
yeah. Every time I've been there, I've gotten a Grand Suite. They've got that nice rooftop pool or semi-rooftop pool. It's not like on the top, and that lounge and the breakfast. My gosh, I feel like you walk around the entire building.
You do. It's ridiculous. It's like 7 stations. And so my friend, he's not a globalist. He's not any of this elite status stuff. So this was his first time to really get a suite. And he was like John Ryan, like when he walked in the room. It was really cool. It's fun to take your friends on this stuff that like don't get to do it. So
people can be impressed.
Awesome.
That's awesome.
But yeah, so that was great. And then the Petronas Towers are right there, so you could see those right out of your hotel room window. And then yeah, I mean, I don't know what you both think, but there's not a lot to do in Kuala Lumpur, I feel like.
I
But
would
it was a nice
say
enough
that's a
city.
fair statement. Yeah, I mean, it's
Yeah,
good to
yeah.
get it. It's good to get, a view, but it's like if you were in Bangkok and then you went to, Singapore, then you went to Kuala Lumpur, I'm like, you're kind
Yeah,
of
you're
getting a lot of the same flavor.
and
Yeah.
you're going to be unimpressed compared. I really think like Bangkok and Singapore have so much more. But you know what? It's a 10-minute walk to one of the malls, and they had a Din Tai Fung there in Kuala Lumpur, just no pork, and at least that's a consolation prize. I don't know if you're a Din Tai Fung fan, but
I
So
just say you just got to get used to nasi lemak. I mean, I think I had like nasi
Yeah.
lemak like 15 times when I was in Malaysia.
this is true. This is true.
So that's the one thing that I probably should mention this now. The one thing that's kind of unfortunate with my health situation. So I'm allergic to gluten, so I can't eat a lot of Southeast Asian specialties.
Oh, that makes it tough. Oh, that's
Yeah.
a shame.
So that's hence no Din Tai Fung. A lot of the Hong Kong cuisine is off limits. Bangkok is great, but
So how do you how do you adapt? I mean, if you don't want to share, you don't have to. But
No,
I'm
no,
just curious. Like because obviously there is just so much gluten in the different main dishes.
yeah, it's definitely a struggle. There's sometimes where I'll accidentally eat gluten when I shouldn't be, and I'm not one to like go to the hospital over it. It's just like a discomfort in my stomach, so it's not anything crazy. But yeah, if it does happen, it's not the best for my body and stuff like that. But just my way of kind of getting through this is one by staying at nice hotels, because then you can get the front desk to accommodate you, and they'll like contact the food and beverage team, and they'll have like gluten-free options available at breakfast. And then in terms of just like street food's kind of off limits for most of the time. But if it is, I'll just kind of do like a ChatGPT or Google search and just make sure that the ingredients don't contain gluten. That's kind of all I can do, especially in Asia. In Europe's way more accommodating, but in Asia, it's hope for the best, and that's about it.
Yeah.
But
No.
Yeah.
It's so true. I mean, you have the little, that tiny little gluten-free station, and then you're just sort of
That's
hoping.
it. Yeah, and I can't let it ruin my life. That's what I kind of feel like. I might as well travel and enjoy it, and just deal with it. So I don't know. Yeah.
That is so well said, though. That is so well said. You got a limitation, but you're not going to let that be the thing that holds you back. So
100%, yeah.
So Kuala Lumpur, where do you go from Kuala Lumpur?
So then we took Hainan Airlines from Kuala Lumpur, so Klaya, to Haikou, China, which is the big island between Vietnam and like Central East.
Okay.
Western China. So it's not really the most well known other than for Sanya, but we were going to Hainan.
Sanya, I know
Yeah.
Sanya.
So Sanya's got a Park Hyatt. That's like a really nice area especially for Chinese domestic tourists. That's kind of one of the more popular beach destinations to go to. But we were flying into Hainan, and that only resulted in us having like a 17-hour layover there. So we went to the Hilton Haikou Milan, and I was probably the first white person that they had seen at that hotel in a long time, and if not, if ever. So that was interesting. But my friend, he's from China, so it's no big deal for language barrier stuff. But yeah, it was a cool enough city.
Did they give you an upgrade? I'm just curious. Like first white dude in a long time.
They gave us.
Did they give you the presidential?
I wish. So we got in at like 2 a.m. So they gave us a twin sea view room, but then the sea view, there's no real. Unfortunately, although it's the ocean in China's tends to be really polluted in most places. So it's kind of, you just look at the ocean and say, okay, that's cool, but you can't actually swim in there or anything because it's so polluted.
Oh, that's interesting. I didn't like. I guess it's not surprising to hear that, but like I guess I just didn't kind of internalize that. Like even an island would have a really polluted body of water nearby. Just in China.
Yeah, and that's as a result of like in Sanya's kind of to the south of Haikou, and it's really not that far from Da Nang, and Da Nang's a really popular beach destination for us, probably as Americans, and also as Southeast Asians. And whereas Haikou's to the north, so a lot of like the runoff from rivers and all that stuff from industry in China is right there. So,
that's a shame.
Yeah.
Do you remember when Hainan Airways was like offering like $2,000 airfares when they were in business class to, I suppose, Hainan, China, and people were getting Alaska Airlines status that way. Like, I think it was like 5, 6, 7 years ago, but like, I remember just being in.
I think you can still fly Hainan as a partner, can't you?
Are they still a partner?
Yeah.
I thought
Yeah,
they
I don't
were.
think
got my
it's
flights
$2,000
credited.
anymore, though.
Well, they
No,
still have
that's-
discount
yeah.
fares now and again, but obviously usually connecting in China.
Well, yeah. But it was, I just remember like almost every week I felt like there was a different post about Hainan being like 18 or 19 or $2,000 for a round trip
I
business
just feel like they
class,
have
and just being
fewer
like, wow.
flights to the U.S. now than they may have at before. Like I feel like they've cut back. On
Well, they
some of
have.
yeah.
And not just do they have fewer flights, like I don't even think we have parity. So my understanding, and you correct me if I'm wrong, because you guys probably know more than I do, but my understanding for the China flights is that if we have a pair, they have a pair, like a city pair. And my understanding is that the U.S. airlines just decided not to fly as many of the city pairs that are available to them, and so I think there's some China airlines that are flying here, and we're not reciprocating because probably it's just not profitable, and as a result, there's just not as much competition, which is ironic because you'd think if there was less competition, then it would become more profitable, and then it would drive down. But what do I know? It's been a while since my my econ class.
Yeah, I just know the big three. They used to. America used to fly so much to China, right? And
that was the whole point of United 787-9 fleet, right? Because they wanted to be able to fly, to what was that?
Chengdu.
Chengdu. Yeah, they wanted that Chengdu and a bunch of those others. They made such a big deal about the 787 because that was going to be their way into mainland. But now, who knows?
Yep.
I cut you off. I'm sorry.
Yeah. So where did you go at? Where did you go after on your next? What was your next leg?
So then, 18 hours later, we flew from that same Haikou airport to Guangzhou, and due to Guangzhou thunderstorms, we were surprise, delayed again. And that's kind of a theme for Chinese airlines.
I was going to say, I've not been to China and not been delayed, I don't think.
Yeah.
At least not mainland China, sorry.
It's just like there used to be a lot of military practice pre-COVID in much of their airspace, so the corridors for commercial air travel was really limited. That's kind of subsided post-COVID, but it's just still like in the summertime, there's just a lot of thunderstorms in the kind of like Pearl River Delta of Guangzhou and Shenzhen and Hong Kong. So, unfortunately, our flight was delayed.
Well, I mean, think about it in the U.S., right? I mean, we just had a storm and it like shellacked all of the Northeast. Probably Atlanta got messed up. I mean, and you think about just the city centers and the proximity for them in China, they're still reasonably close, right?
100%. Yeah, and I mean Chicago, all those cities. It's just another week of summer travel, I guess.
So Guangzhou, that's where China Southern is, right? Is that their hub?
Correct. Yeah, that's their main hub. And then Hainan also has a smaller hub. And I believe for going back to your point about just like the cheap business class fares from North America to China, that was, I believe, it says Guangzhou is a focus city of theirs, but then their main hub, so to speak, for U.S. flights was Beijing.
Okay. For Hainan or
yes, for Hainan, yeah. Mm-hmm.
For some reason I thought Hainan was also went where the pandas are, but maybe that's Xiamen.
I'm sorry, you cut out there.
He's like wondering which of the Chinese airlines was based in Chengdu, or because the Chengdu is where the pandas are, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought Hainan might have
maybe Sichuan Air,
there, but maybe it's Sichuan. Yeah.
Okay.
One day I'll see pandas. One day.
Yeah, one day.
We'll go together. I haven't been to any of those cities actually. I haven't been to Chengdu. Haven't been to Guangzhou. Haven't been to Xiamen. No, or Xi'an. Those are all on my list.
All I got is Beijing and Shanghai. That's all I got.
Yeah, I'm pretty boring too. I think about the same. Beijing, Shanghai. That's most of it.
One of these days, we're just gonna have to knock out the Chinese cities.
It's hard. It's competitive. It's for award availability across the Pacific, and then once you get there, it is cheap at least, and you could take high speed rail as well. But
So I don't know how big of a listener of the podcast you are, but we had an episode, and I'll have to find the episode number. But do you remember that big what was it, SAS Million Mile Challenge, where if you flew X number of Sky Team members, you'd be able to get a million Sky.
SAS miles, whatever
bonus,
the SAS
are.
miles are called. Yeah,
Euro bonus. Oh yeah, with Chris.
Yeah.
I think I remember that.
Yeah. And Chris made it a big deal. He was like, I'm using that 72-hour visa. I'm like in one city, then I'm out into Korea, and then I'm back and this. Like his strategy was just incredible. Like the fact that he didn't get detained. I think he didn't get detained, or maybe he only got detained once.
He saw a bunch of people on some of those legs, right? Because a lot of people are using the same legs.
Because you've got
sense.
You've got what, China Southern, Xiamen, and then maybe
China,
there's a third.
Or not China Airlines.
China Airlines.
China Airlines, and then you also got Korean. So you've got a lot of different airlines in that small little vicinity that you're trying to knock out, and so you got a lot of value, or they got a lot of value, I guess. Spending a few weeks in Asia just to get a million Euro bonus points. Which, don't get me wrong, great value. I see some of the deals nowadays that they've got, and those folks are doing well.
Yeah, and also for that point, domestic flights in China, for them, for the locals, it's a very expensive proposition. But for us as Americans, it's $70-$80 for a one-way flight for pretty much anywhere in China. And the best part about it is usually domestic travel in China, you can book flights 2 days before, and that's when you'll find the best price. It's very last-minute culture over there.
Yeah, probably a little frowned on for people that are on a 72-hour visa, unfortunately, right?
Yeah. We booked ours probably about a month in advance, or my friend did all the bookings just because there's the Chinese websites, which us as Americans can use, but they're all in Chinese, so you just need to be careful about typos. And C-Trip is one of them. It's the Chinese version of Trip.com. Fliggy, which is a mini program in WeChat, so that's an app that they use over there for payments and whatnot.
Yeah, how was that? Were you able to get around with just using cash or in your card, or did you have to figure out a way to use Alipay or something like that, or what how was that for you?
So I've been to China now. This was my third time last month. So I went once in 2025, so last year, and then the year before that with my mom. And then the time last year was with a close friend of mine from high school. So that time I was with his mom. So his mom kind of did a lot of the stuff. But with my mom 2 years ago, it was my job to figure all this stuff out. So I had Alipay all set up from previous trips, and they require
so
your passport
you were all
number.
Set.
Correct. Yeah. So for this trip for about a month ago, I didn't even use cash once. It's all Alipay. There's no cash needed. So, and
I was going to say, I think that seems to be one of the challenges that, Trevor and I will have to figure out is getting an Alipay account, because probably hard to get around now in China without it.
Yeah, it's true. It's not too bad, but it's a little learning curve, I guess.
So I feel like we've gone on so many different tangents. You made it to Guangzhou?
Correct.
Take us back to the trip. I'm sorry.
Sure. You're good. So we went to Guangzhou. We did some sightseeing there for the day, just a lot of different sites, and most of them were in Chinese. So just a heads up, I was kind of looking at things and I was like, okay, great. I don't know what this means, but okay, cool. Looks historically significant in some way. But then we flew the next night. So this was night 3 of bopping around with just no. Okay, let's go to the airport. Just 24 hours later. So it was a little exhausting. But our flight was again 5 hours delayed due to weather. And we flew to Nanjing, which is where my friend was born. So he had relatives there. I got to meet some of his relatives there and some of his friends from elementary school and stuff. So that was really cool. And just going to the historical sites there, I was amazed by this is probably a good time for me to give you some photos, TK, of the city, but it's just really pretty. So many different, there's a big lake in the middle of the city. There's kind of a wall that you can walk up, and this big memorial for Sun Yat-sen. It's a very cool city for history, and it was the old capital. And then, and also fun fact, I also stayed at the Yurkov in Nanjing. So
you got the Brand Explorer. That's a hard one on the Brand Explorer. Yeah. I was like, when am I going to get that Yurkov?
Wow.
It's cheap. It's $60. but
how many Yurkovs do they even have on the world?
A lot, I think, in China.
They're
it's exclusively
all in China.
They're
Correct.
all in
It's
China.
made for the Chinese market. So it's like a joint
is.
venture with this company called Home Inn, and they're in a partnership with Hyatt and I'm sure I was, again, probably the only Westerner at that hotel. But it was great. I was so happy to get that checked off. And funny enough, due to our delay, we had gotten in at 3:00 in the morning, and the guy just basically said, sorry, we can't check you in today. And my friend's like, what do we do? And I'm like, I don't know. What do we do? It's your hometown here. But in the end, he actually let us check in early for that night. So we got 3 a.m. check-in. I guess that's a great benefit of Globalist. I don't know.
There you are.
Yeah.
I mean, that beats
it worked out.
my longest. I think we got checked in at like 9 a.m. No. What time did we get checked in into the Philippines? Like 7 or 8 a.m.
Oh, that was pretty early.
Yeah. I mean,
like
it was after the lounge opened.
I
so
think it was
wasn't
like 8
theory.
a.m. I think it was like 8 or 9, somewhere in that range.
I think that's my
early.
record, or our record. So, you know, 3 a.m., that's a pretty incredible record for a globalist, man.
So it was cool. Like they have a little smart speaker thing. If you want to get packages or DoorDash, which is the thing over there is called Meituan, and there's drivers pretty much everywhere on motorcycles at all times of the day. But in fun fact, for McDonald's in China, it's cheaper to get it delivered than it is to buy it like at the store, which doesn't make much sense to me, but
doesn't make much economic sense to me either.
Just
but
not.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, can I ask, is it cheaper to buy it, or have it, delivered because they have the electronic menu thing that is just really good at selling you on the large fries or putting a random thing on your burger, and so like it's all the additions and you just can't control yourself? Or is it because it's actually like subsidized somehow
they just
by
must
the
have
delivery?
A much lower cost basis for the delivery, because I think there's so much more delivery service supply than there is demand. As opposed to here
so it's
in the
virtually
US.
free or subsidized.
And different, and the also
yeah.
difference is there's higher density. So usually those drivers aren't having to go 5 miles, 10 miles. They're going like 1 mile, to deliver something. And that's why I think that their cost basis for actually providing that service is much lower. That's probably the only reason why it makes economic sense, although kind of makes you wonder how they actually make money, but okay.
Yeah. But yeah, so they have robots that will deliver food or whatever to your room, which is really cool. They're just in the elevators, and it's really commonplace at most Chinese hotels these days. So that's very cool. And then so then I took a Chinese high-speed rail train to Suzhou, which is a city located between Nanjing and Shanghai, and I'd been there once before. And let me just say, the Park Hyatt in Suzhou is my favorite Park Hyatt in the world. And granted, I've stayed at the one in Saigon and Bangkok, so I'm probably not the most well-stayed person when it comes to Park Hyatts, but it absolutely blew the other two out of the water.
I didn't even know that one existed. Like, I feel bad saying this. I didn't even know that one existed. And so we have a friend of the show, Joey Redman, who at one point, I don't know if he's come off this goal, but he had a goal of staying at every single Park Hyatt. So I'm really curious where this episode or where this particular Park Hyatt.
We'll have to ask Joey when we're going to we're going to the Park Hyatt Suzhou, Joey.
Exactly.
He's got some work to do in China, though. That's there's a lot there.
I would think there's a lot of Park
May just
Hyatts
have to
in
spend
China.
a couple of weeks there and just go from one to one and get a visa.
Yeah. But yeah, and also I will say, for getting a visa, you could always get one, but the cost is like $450 USD. So it's a really significant cost, and you have to send your passport away, which I really couldn't for dates and times and all that stuff. So
yeah, I'm sad. My 10-year visa, I think, expired, or it's just about to expire.
Oh no.
I'm so bummed. I got the visa just before they came out with the 10-year visa. And so I got to go to Beijing and Shanghai, but like I think I only had like a year or two visa.
I wasted it. I used that visa like maybe 2 or 3 times, and that's it.
Well, in all fairness, was there was some sort of a world event that might have slowed down travel to that region.
Come to think of it,
I don't know what it was.
Something I don't.
Yeah,
it's vaguely familiar.
Yeah. So there's that, but yeah, so that was just an amazing hotel. And when I went there with my mom 2 years ago, we actually stayed at that same hotel, and I loved it so much that I wanted to stay there again. So my friend was going to a wedding for his relatives. I just felt it probably wouldn't be the most comfortable for me he said they've never even met white people before.
You'd be a distraction. You'd be a big distraction.
Yeah, I didn't have the right clothes. It just was
Oh.
probably not the best fit for me to introduce myself to that. But anyway, it worked out because I got to stay at a Park Hyatt, and they upgraded me to a Lakeview Terrace suite. So I had probably a 1,200 square foot suite all to myself. So
Oh, you can't beat that. You can't beat
You
that.
need-
And
you
it
need
was probably
space
less
to,
awkward than being at the
yeah.
wedding.
yes,
You
and it
need
was
some space to spread out,
100%. Yeah, it was 200 a night, I think, for the room. So, and
That's a good deal.
maybe a category 3. So, yeah. And I also got to go and sort of backtrack, but I went in Nanjing to a 24-hour spa, which some of you might maybe see on TikTok. It's
And
like
that's the thing, right? That's like the big deal, right? You're supposed to do that.
Are you the reason that's in my in my feed all the time now? It looks great. It's like a 24-hour spa for like $10, and you get like food and all this other stuff, right?
So they advertise it as like a really good price, but I will say it's an expensive splurge. It was $40 for the spa, which $40 is fine. I'm not kind of worried about that part, but then the buffet is another $45 on top of that. And I'm just thinking to myself, I'm like, I'm not going to eat $45 worth of food in China. Like that's a really significant.
Probably,
like,
yeah.
I feel like that's like a $200 buffet in the U.S. or something.
Totally. Like they had crab legs and lobster and all sorts of stuff. So if you really wanted, like I'm not the biggest person when it comes to like fine dining stuff. So if you're really into that sort of thing, I'm sure it's a worthwhile expense, but, it would be $85, $90 if you did decide to do that.
Some of us have taken transatlantic flights for buffets, but oh well.
True.
I mean, who hasn't taken a transatlantic flight for a meal? Right.
Oops. One day.
Oh,
yeah. Well, wait, no, I should,
sorry.
not transatlantic, but I guess
a transoceanic.
Yeah, transoceanic, yeah.
Or transcontinental.
Okay.
Well, we can go transitioning something.
Yeah.
Transiting somewhere.
Yeah. But yeah, and then I met up with my friend again in Shanghai, and we just kind of sightseed there for the day as we flew to a city in China called Qingdao. Since I'd already been to Shanghai, it just didn't really seem worth it for the 10-day window that we had to spend like another night there. But still, Shanghai was great as usual. And then, yeah, we were on to Qingdao on an airline called Shandong. I don't know if you've heard of that.
I'm not familiar with that one.
Okay.
Yeah.
My gosh, there's a lot of new airports and airlines here.
Did you get to fly an ARJ or a Comac or any one of those?
Ooh, Comac.
I wish.
Is that
I
even
wanted
flying?
to fly on a Comac. Yeah, it does. I saw a C919 and then a C909.
Yes.
So C909 is like the 717 equivalent here in the US, or even like a CRJ. And then the C919 is like an A320, 737 equivalent aircraft.
Oh, cool.
So, yeah. And then, the flight on, what is that? Shandong Airlines. That was to Qingdao, and that was on a 737. So they're an all Boeing airline. And yeah, we flew them there, and then we stayed at the Hyatt Regency, which was right on the beach. Unfortunately, you can't swim in the beach, but it was $90 a night. So can't complain.
I feel like this is a trend in China that there's water there, but you don't necessarily want to look at it or get anywhere too close to it.
Yeah, and it's sad. It's such a pretty city. I'm like it's kind of sad to see that they're not really using their oceans in the way that they should be. But
yeah,
I'm sure it'll improve over time. I mean, it's like I feel
Totally.
like some of that's just legacy of the industrialization that the country did. They're starting to transition to other things, so maybe it'll clean up. It'll get cleaned up at some point.
And you just think about the stories of how bad the air quality was in the U.S. during the Industrial Revolution. I mean, we've all been there. Oh, okay. Maybe not all of us, but
Or maybe even in the 1960s when they had leaded gas.
Yeah. No, it's true. It's true. I mean, I used to have a professor that used to kind of talk about the environmental situation in China as you've got 1 billion people driving Ford Explorers when in other parts of the world they're driving Priuses. But the reality is just as you said, they're making their transition. I mean, they got a lot of their not to get political or anything, but they got a lot of their position in the world by being the ones that got the manufacturing so efficient. And being able to being able to be that export economy. And unfortunately, there were some, unfortunate ramifications to it. I mean, the how they get the heavy metals, how they get the different, chemicals for, or materials for like iPhones and other stuff like that is, a detrimental effect on, the water supply, and hopefully that gets cleaned up.
Yeah. And kind of going off of that, I will say, for better or worse, there's an app there called Taobao.com. And on that website, you can buy like literally anything you want. And it's so cheap. Like I got on cloud counterfeit shoes for like $10. I got like a Air China model airplane for like $6, and it's the same quality as like a Gemini Jets plane would be here in the US.
Oh, wow.
Just really cheap stuff, and it came in 3 days. I got a bathing suit for $1, and it came in 30 minutes off of Meituan, which is their DoorDash equivalent. It's pretty amazing the convenience of some stuff there.
That's incredible. That's absolutely incredible. I mean, I have to say, and I really want to get us to Ulan Batar, but the amount of different apps and tools that you've used and you've shared on this, if I knew 10% of them, like I knew WeChat,
it makes my head
and
spin.
maybe the Alipay, I think I was aware of, but like I wouldn't know how to like sign up for either of those, or whether or not we can sign up for those, or whether I need to get like a Huawei burner phone or something. Yeah, awesome. No, appreciate it. It's so cool to hear these different tools, and I'll try to pick your brain after the fact so we can include the links to them in the show notes. But like this is a world like I wasn't familiar with. Like I mean, like Tom and I, we know Grab, we know a handful of those other ones that are predominant in like Southeast Asia and stuff. But China is like an ecosystem to its own, and so you sharing this stuff I think is great, and I think it's really great for our listeners.
Thank you. Yeah, and it's just so different with the Great Firewall. That's like the wall there that exists from the outside world, so they don't want their citizens to see news and Western stuff. So as a result, there's pretty much any app we have here has an equivalent in China.
Yeah, it's just their own little ecosystem, right? And it is a little intimidating for us in the West just because we're not familiar with all these things. I mean, they have everything we have. It's just it's in a different skin, right?
Totally.
Yeah, and it's totally interesting. Like, so I was in Beijing, I don't know, this has got to be like 10 years ago now. And I thought we paid X amount of dollars, had X rate at the hotel. And as I'm checking out, I'm trying to pull up my record of it, which happens to be in Gmail. And, the agent at the desk sort of smiles and says, "That doesn't work here." And I'm just like, "Oh, you're proud of the Great Firewall, aren't we?"
Yeah.
But yeah, they've built their own ecosystem. I mean, kudos to them in being able to do that. It's just interesting that they have it. But the really exciting part is to hear that some of us that want to travel there can figure out a way to participate in that ecosystem, and still essentially get to tour around. Do you feel, and again, I want to get to Ulan Batar, but I can't move off this without asking the question. Your friend is a fluent, I guess is it Mandarin?
Yeah, Mandarin. Yeah.
So he's a fluent Mandarin speaker. Did you feel like that was absolutely mandatory for you to be able to go to some of these secondary, tertiary cities, or do you feel like they're accessible for somebody that doesn't speak the language that that looks like us? I hate to say it that way, right? Like that doesn't look like a local and that doesn't speak the language. Like, would you have felt comfortable going there to secondary, tertiary cities if you didn't have a local or at least a Mandarin speaker with you?
So it's a little different for me. So I took 3 years of Chinese in high school, so I speak some Mandarin. It's not perfect, but it's enough to like get me by in most like day-to-day casual situations. So that really helped out a lot. And when I went to Suzhou 2 years ago with my mom was like just a little bit, I don't know, on edge or uncomfortable, like not because it was unsafe or anything like that, just more she just felt like kind of weird and like an outsider there. And whenever you walk up to somebody, there's kind of, and everybody's friendly, I will say that, but you just get a little bit of like what do we do here? Like, I think they're just worried about me, like potentially being like rude, or I don't know, they're just not sure what to do really, just because they're probably used to seeing fellow Han Chinese people for most of the day, and then they see me as a foreigner. But when you do like speak to a Chinese person at a restaurant or something like that, just using a different translator tool, it works 99% of the time and there's no issues there. So I think just by using Google Translate, it's totally fine. If 20 years ago, it's probably a whole different story, but yeah.
Awesome. I appreciate you saying that because I felt like there was definitely a language barrier that we felt at times. And again, this is 10 or so years ago in both Beijing and Shanghai. Did we make do? Yes. But what I've been to a lot of secondary and tertiary cities, around the world. But I feel like if there was a place that I was going to feel a little awkward, like I just got back from some secondary and tertiary cities in, Japan, and I felt like I made that work. Right. And that was fine. But like China, I feel like you get a little bit off the beaten path and you could get really to the point where, folks are having a hard time understanding any English. And so you're really relying on the apps. And that's the area where I get a little bit, I get a little bit nervous, but, it's reassuring to know that, with the apps, that's good enough. So help us get to Ulan Batar.
Sure. So from Qingdao, we spent 2 nights there, and it's a really pretty city. There's actually a lot of European history. There's a cathedral there, of all things. So I really love the secondary cities in China just because you really feel there's something to be said. Like in Japan, as much as I love it, it's kind of gotten a little bit overcrowded in many of the big cities. But in China, the smaller cities, they're so untouched by like foreigners, and it's mostly just Chinese people. It's something that you really don't get to see in pretty much any country these days, just for better or worse. I don't know how both of you feel, but it is really special, I feel like, for me. And as somebody that speaks Chinese, I really enjoy kind of the challenge of getting around day to day. But from Qingdao, we went to Beijing. So that's a bigger city. We saw the Summer Palace, the Forbidden City, and then the Great Wall. And the Great Wall is probably one of, if not the highlight of the trip. We walked all the way to the end from Badaling, which has the world's deepest high-speed rail underground station. So that was pretty impressive. But yeah, just being able to walk around the Great Wall was a really special thing. And then I split off from my friend at that point, and I flew to Ulan Batar, using MIAT on a Boeing 737. And then it was about an hour and a half taxi into the city. It was only like $25, so nothing crazy given that it was an hour and a half. But just the traffic in Ulan Batar is horrible. It's one of the worst cities in the world, I think, based on what some people say online. And I could definitely attest to that. But yeah.
It's not necessarily far, just the traffic was crazy, huh?
Correct. So there's just not a lot of roads, and the roads that exist, they're just so backed up and congested that it caused traffic to be horrible in most parts of the day.
Probably have a pretty big population thing going on there too, right? I would hope or imagine. Not hope. Maybe hope.
Yeah. It's the world's least most dense country.
Oh, yet they still have really bad traffic. So apparently everybody and their brother has like 2 cars, and they leave one parked on the side of the road to just, be a little bit more congested. I'm joking.
So, yeah. Seriously, yeah.
So where'd you stay in Ulan Batar?
So there's in terms of like Western, not even Western, but just like luxury hotels, there's a couple of options. There's the Shangri-La, there's the Blue Palace Hotel, and then let me look up the other ones. There's that. Oh, and then the Novotel, which I guess is probably not a 5-star hotel, but at least not
Novotel sneaks
back to the Accor.
Yeah, Novotel sneaks its way back into the podcast. Oh gosh.
Yeah, right. And then there's also the Kempinski, which didn't really look too nice based on the photos.
Oh, interesting. But, usually those are pretty nice.
Yeah, I've heard great things about them.
It was weird. It looked kind of unremodeled. So, I don't know. I felt kind of weird wasting money on a really nice hotel when it was just me to enjoy it. So I actually stayed at a business hotel chain in Japan called the Toyoko Inn. I stayed at one there for $40 a night.
Oh, they had one in Ulan Batar too, huh?
For some reason, yeah. I don't know.
Interesting.
But it was fine. It's no frills, but it does the job.
I mean, and you want to spend the money where you're going to get the value, right? And clearly you sir are a value chaser, a
value engineer.
Yes, a value engineer. Absolutely.
Well, you both are too. So we all are, right?
we all. My engineering degree is from a different school.
And I probably go a little bit more luxury than I probably should at times, if we're being honest with ourselves or myself.
Well, I think we seek luxury different ways. How about that?
Yeah,
True.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So had any other notable experience in Ulan Batar other than the traffic?
Yeah. So oddly enough, there's a lot of influence in Ulan Batar from South Korea. So like, there's really good South Korean food there. So I got to enjoy that, which was great for the first night.
We share, the heritage of the peoples are very similar. So there's a lot of similarity in kind of our, ancestors, from Mongolia. So there's a reason why there's a strong connection with South Korea.
Cool.
I did not know that.
That's interesting. Yeah. Huh. But yeah, so oddly enough though, so despite the fact that there's a lot of like South Korean influence, cars are from both South Korea and Japan in Ulan Batar. So they all drive on the right side of the road there, but then some cars, the steering wheels and the driver's.
Yeah, that's going to be a little confusing.
Yeah. So it's so weird. Like, I can't imagine that. Yeah, driver's choice. So, yeah, I don't know. But yeah, so that was unique. And then, thanks to my friend from Purdue, his friend or whatever, he arranged for me to do a tour in Ulan Batar of the nearby Gobi Desert. So I got to see something called Turtle Rock. So that was really unique. And then also the Genghis Khan statue. Is it Genghis? Yeah, Genghis Khan. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was really cool. We got to see that. And then, trying to think what else. Yeah, we got to go to just a local Mongolian restaurant where I got lamb. It was like $5 for food. Very affordable.
Nice.
So that was really cool. And then by that point of the trip, I was just kind of worn out from running around
I was
Asia.
going to say, it's a lot of city
weeks.
hopping. That's a lot of city hopping.
Please tell me that Tommy flew you in business class to London.
Well, okay, good news. So I flew MIAT from Ulan Batar to Frankfurt, and thankfully I was able to talk my way and check into getting the exit row for no additional cost. That worked out.
Oh.
But it was 8 hours thanks to Russian airspace being used. So that's nice.
That's not as bad.
Yeah. So it's whatever. Cool. It's manageable.
Yeah. Wow. More power to you. Although I guess when both of us were your age, we were flying in economy too. So
true.
I mean,
plenty of it.
Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, even to Australia. And that 15-hour flight is not insignificant. So you flew MIAT. I think I heard you say, I just want to be clear because, we don't hear a lot of Russian airspace usage here. So you were able to fly over Russian airspace to get to Frankfurt. So you've had a faster flight, number one. And number two, what kind of experience was MIAT, as a flyer? Like what kind of aircraft, that sort of thing?
Anything distinctive?
So first of all, there's only one 787, I believe, in their fleet. Let me double check that, but it's a very small fleet and they kind of just use them. They serve some of their destinations only like 1 or 2 times a week. So they serve, Beijing, Guangzhou, Hohhot, which is in the, Inner Mongolian province of China, and then Shanghai, as well as Frankfurt, which is their only European destination, Hong Kong, Tokyo, Narita, and then a couple of Mongolian domestic destinations, Singapore, Busan, Seoul, Bangkok, Phuket, Istanbul, and Ho Chi Minh. So, that
787's getting a lot of work. That's earning its keep.
So, wow, this is interesting. Based off of Wikipedia, they have 2 787s. However, one is leased to Gulf Air.
Apparently one just can work hard enough on their own, huh?
I guess so. But yeah, it was a great flight, I thought. I mean, the service was great. It was, and for the flight from Beijing to Ulan Batar, they served a meal and it was like an hour and a half. I mean, you can't ask for more than that in economy. That's pretty darn good.
That's so interesting. Awesome. How like some of those, smaller, especially in Asia and other places, they can serve a full meal service like on an hour flight. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah. It's pretty amazing.
There's a lot of airlines that can do that. We just choose not to. I'm sorry to say.
No comment. Yeah.
Would you fly from Frankfurt to London?
Just Lufthansa in economy. It was fine. I don't know. It was probably an hour, but yeah.
Yep. Nice short one.
That's about it.
Nothing wrong with Lufthansa and Euro business. A solid slimline seat, right?
Yeah.
Got to visit the Queens terminal. I still haven't been to the Queens terminal.
I'm going to have to drag you there sometime. You can do a lounge hopping there. It's just, it completely pales.
Walking, right? And it's not the same as Terminal 3.
Right. Yeah. No. It pales in comparison. I mean, there's a Singapore lounge, there's an Air Canada lounge, and there's the United lounge, the quasi special United lounge, and none of them are as good as even the American lounge that they have in the other terminal.
Terminal 3. Yeah.
But I mean, Singapore's a pretty good lounge. Singapore might be better than American, but Singapore's nowhere near like Cathay or Qantas. I mean, there's no question.
I'd say Terminal 3 is definitely on one of the better terminals to do lounge hopping in the world.
I would agree with that. I think I think Tom Bradley Terminal probably exceeds it. Maybe.
It's tough because number one, you got split up between carriers or alliances. I mean, you got the Qantas there. I mean,
you got Qantas, you got Flagship, but the Flagship doesn't have Flagship dining, and then you got a One World Business. But I don't think you get a One World.
I wouldn't put Bradley. I wouldn't put Bradley that highly.
No, as there's Delta One about it. I agree with you.
Yeah, but like what flight are you
you're
flying?
Split across, like you can't fly a Delta, you can't get Delta One and Qantas first. Yeah, no. Tom's got a good point. I think, I'm trying to think, is there another good one? I mean, the reality is there, most of the other airports, it's just like one major airline that kind of dominates.
One carrier.
Frankfurt,
Singapore?
You got the first class terminal. Singapore, and
I don't even think the Chris Flyer, or the one time I went to the private room, I didn't really think it was all that great either. So
yeah, it's not amazing. And
it's not amazing.
I think there's an Emirates first, and I think there's a Qantas first, or maybe they've merged them. At one
even
point,
Hong
they
Kong's
had
a little
those.
bit better. I mean, because you've got like at least from a One World perspective, you just got the Qantas lounge. You could maybe do the fancy Plaza Premium.
But the Qantas isn't first, right?
It's combined business and first, but I like it. I like the Qantas.
But do they have?
It's kind of like Heathrow. It's like Heathrow.
But do they have salt and pepper squid?
Oh,
No.
I forgot if I've ordered it, but I'm sure they do. I'm sure they do.
That's the qualifier if the Qantas lounge is sufficient.
I will admit I don't think I've had salt and pepper squid at the Hong Kong Qantas lounge, but I can't imagine they don't. I just may not have ordered it.
Oh, we're gonna have to do a little bit of
I guess we're gonna go to Hong Kong to do some investigation.
Yeah, we're gonna have to do some investigation.
Maybe.
Here.
I don't know about the $220 flight from $220 flight from Las Vegas, but although that is very tempting.
I mean, if we could just buy like 5 seats across, I mean, maybe that would be worth it.
Make our own Air Canada relax row.
Yeah. There you go. Ghetto first class. Or ghetto lay flat rather. Maybe not first class. There's no caviar back in the economy. Even
you can bring your own.
I suppose. Yeah, you could bring your own.
You're Michael Traeger. You bring your own, right?
So true. Hey, so we've been going for quite some time, John. We really appreciate all your time tonight, and so this walkthrough, this trip. I mean. It's incredible. Like, I'm kind of jealous, but at the same time, I'm a little bit exhausted after walking through it all.
Exhausted was the word in my head, because we've done some of these trips where we've city hopped, and not to the extent that you did, but I still remember, and after a certain age, it gets a little tiring.
It really does. It really does. But I mean, the fact that you're doing this, and you did this largely in economy, and just hearing the kind of dollars that you've spent, I mean, that's absolutely incredible. Like, I mean, more power to you to be able to do the kind of flying that you're doing, and obviously being younger. You can deal with the economy flying, but to be able to fly, I mean, finding a $250 fare to Hong Kong, $130 to Bangkok, and that the upper for the business makes perfect sense because you want the experience. But I mean, you've found some incredible economy deals, and you've had some incredible experiences, and we really appreciate the fact that you've been able to come on the show and share those. So very much I'm going to make this bad, not intentionally, but I'm going to try and say, shishi for sharing your I did a little bit of that, yeah. For sharing your experiences and also helping to demystify a little bit of some of the Chinese travel that I know that for me, I don't want to speak for Tom, but for me, I'm not versed in WeChat, Alipay, or what you said. There was like a DoorDash equivalent.
Oh,
and yeah, all these different ones. And so I will follow up with you so we can include those as references in the show notes, because I think that's really valuable for folks to, be aware before you land and you're like, what?
And hopefully get some good photos to put up on onto the YouTube version of this. Again, hopefully our listeners will have a little bit more of a motivation to see this episode on YouTube, and hopefully see some interesting photos.
So, John, how can our listeners find you? If you want to be found, I should say.
Sure. On Facebook, I'm a little bit active. It's kind of changed in recent years. Just I've kind of gotten busier with college, and just like I feel like I've really Miles and Points have been amazing since I was 11 that I've been in this space. And over time, I've really gotten to meet some amazing people, the both of you and so many others. And ever since I started college, I've really kind of gotten to develop a really amazing friend group there as well. So I feel like I've kind of taken a step back from a lot of the different Facebook groups and whatnot. But you can find me on Facebook as John Ryan. I do share some of my travels on Twitter sometimes, and then Instagram as well on occasion. And I do plan on starting a YouTube channel sometime soon with some different hotel room reviews that I've done over the past few months and years. But yeah, those are probably going to be the best two places: Vegas Teenager on Twitter, and then JRyan28 on Instagram if you use that platform.
So awesome. And we'll get the links in the show notes to make it easier for our listeners to follow you, because I think I know you're going places, and I think a lot of folks can learn a lot from the kind of travel that you do.
Well, thank you, though. And it was, again, such a privilege to be on the show, and I really appreciate all that you do for the Miles and Points community. It's great listening to this every time that it's published. So
great.
Hey, it's a privilege. It truly is a privilege. Well, that's the show. Thanks for joining us, and we hope you enjoyed listening.
If you've enjoyed this episode, consider becoming a Milenomics Patreon member and get access to even more in-depth miles, points, and travel content.
Until then, we hope your next story is a travel story.